What is up, guys? In this video, I'm going to be going over everything you need to know about Fortnite's upcoming Simpsons live event, which will bring us from Chapter 6 into the Simpsons season. As always, if you guys do enjoy this video, find it helpful, informative, or interesting, remember to give it a like, subscribe if you'd like to see more, comment down below if you think this is going to be a full-scale event, and if you guys would like to use my code in the shop when getting anything, it is EvolveJake, just like my channel name is, and it is underneath the webcam at all times. So I'm going to be talking about news and some sort of like controversy surrounding the event that has kind of happened online. I'm not going to be going into event leaks or event spoilers or anything like that. So if you want to be surprised when the event does happen, you don't need to be worrying about clicking off this video. This event is going to be called Welcome Our Alien Overlords. And if you have been playing over the course of the past few days, you've probably seen Krang and Kratos spawn next to the battle bus at the start of the match and kind of orbit it in their little like flying saucer. These are aliens from the Simpsons cartoon, and they will likely play some sort of role in the event, as the event is called Welcome Our Alien Overlords, and then there's Simpson aliens flying around the battle bus, you know? This event is also going to be happening tomorrow, Saturday, November 1st at 11 a.m. Eastern time. This is Eastern time, East Coast, North America time. If you just Google, 11 a.m. Eastern time into whatever time zone you are in, you can find a conversion for yourself. But again, that is November 1st at 11 a.m. Eastern time. And there has been a good amount of confusion regarding this event the past few days because everyone was kind of expecting this to be like a big event to bring us into the Simpsons season. But Fortnite recently put this up on the news feed in-game, and they themselves literally called it a mini event. And this confused a lot of people because typically what the community refers to as mini events, they just kind of happen in game. You have to be in a match at the right time to see it. You can get killed during these events. And it's typically something just like pretty small scale. And then the match just kind of continues on afterwards. And I can't recall a time where a mini event has ever ended a season. Like I don't think we've ever had a mini event gone to downtime and then had a season afterwards for any of these mini events. The Shogun X Daigo fight in season 1 of chapter 6 and is like an example of a mini event. This just kind of happened. It was something to watch in game if you were in a match at the right time and on the right spot on the map at the right time. But it also didn't have its own playlist. It didn't end the season. There wasn't downtime afterwards. Season 1 just kept going on afterwards until, its final day, where eventually we had downtime and then went into season 2. This Simpsons event is going to be the end of season 4, and it is expected that there will be downtime afterwards for several hours. Fortnite has announced the Simpsons season will be starting at 5 p.m. Eastern time, which is about 6 hours after the event starts. So, yeah, there's going to be an event, and then later on that day is when the season is actually happening. So I do not think this is going to be a mini event, and I think this is kind of irresponsible on Epic Games' part, because I feel like a lot of people in the community, they might see mini event, and then they're like, oh, whatever, I can miss that, it doesn't really matter. And that's why I wanted to make this video, because if you are one of those people who was like writing it off and you were like, I don't really care since it's going to be a mini event, I would recommend reconsidering that if you are someone who cares about Fortnite and if you are someone who cares about the events. If you don't care about the event one way or the other, then don't stress it. But if you do like the events and you do like Fortnite like that, I would highly recommend trying to be on the game before 11 a.m. Eastern time on November 1st. Probably like 30 minutes to an hour beforehand, because oftentimes with these events, people have problems logging on to the game. So the earlier you can get on the game, the better, because what happens is a lot of people try to get on at the last minute, and then that creates like problems with the servers or whatever, and not everybody can get in. So as I said, I expect this to be a full-scale actual Fortnite live event and not what the community considers a mini event. And there is some evidence to back this up from leakers. So the file size for this event is actually one of the biggest in Fortnite history. On the back end, or like in the game code or whatever, people are able to see like how large the updates are and what part of the update is actually the event, because it gets like decrypted at certain times. I don't know how data mining or leaking works, but either way, they can see the file sizes of these events and stuff. And this is one of the biggest events in Fortnite history. It's not quite the biggest in terms of file size, but it's up there. Part of that might be because it's a different art style or whatever for the cell shading. Who knows? But that would give some sort of like credence to it potentially being a full-scale actual event. And leakers with trusted sources who have been correct about things recently, like we recently got the Simpsons Map leak, we got the key art leaks, we had companions leaked before they were announced. There's been a lot of things that leakers have actually been right about recently. But one of those leakers posted that this is a full-scale story event to bring us into the Simpsons season, and that it is not a mini event. So there was a lot of discussion around this because, as I said, Fortnite is calling it a mini event, but all the leakers and news sources within the community are saying that's not true. The file size is huge. Our sources are saying it's an actual event. And around the time that leakers started posting this and the discussion was really going on, about it like not being a mini event and being a full-scale event, Tim Sweeney, who is the CEO of Epic Games, posted this GIF of dominoes falling. And then someone commented on this GIF and asked, like, does this mean the mini event is actually a big event? And Tim Sweeney, who is, again, the CEO of Epic Games, liked that comment. So, the implication there is that, like, the dominoes are falling and people are starting to realize it's a big event. I'm not sure why they would do this, but my expectations are that this is going to be a full-scale event and not a mini event. And that's why I was saying, if you are someone who likes the events and you care about Fortnite like that, try to get on and see it. You may be disappointed and maybe it turns out to be a mini event, but I think I'd rather be disappointed in that way than miss out because, you thought it was going to be a mini event. A lot of people think Epic advertised it as a mini event to kind of lower player expectations going into it, because for a lot of events over the past few years, pretty much since Fracture onward at the end of Chapter 3, every time there is an event, people are unhappy with it and they say it's like not as good as the old events. And there's just a lot of hate around the events because people's expectations are too high. I think part of it also comes down to the way Epic kind of announces and markets these events is just always done poorly, and it's always confusing. And I think posting this one as a mini event just kind of adds to that. But I also think this could be a mistake, which leads some people into not caring about it at all and just writing it off as trash. And that's why I wanted to make this video. And I also think this just doesn't make very much sense because even the mini events we have had in the past, I know people were upset about them. Like I remember the pipeline explosion in Wrecked. A lot of people were unhappy with that not being a, big enough event, even though it was marketed as a mini event and it always was, a mini event. Like it wasn't the end of the season or anything like that. I also think it's possible that like what Epic internally considers to be a mini event is different than what the community considers to be in a mini event. Like we just have different definitions of what that means. Like I said, to me, a mini event is just like small, really not that big of a deal, maybe a minor map change if anything, and certainly not the end of a season or like downtime afterwards. But like I said, maybe Epic has different, definitions for those things, and that to them it actually is a mini event, but it's not what the community would classify as a mini event. If that is the case, I think it is definitely a mistake. Like the whole point of making the newsfeed post is to communicate, with the players what's happening, and classifying it in a way that the players don't actually understand, I think is a mistake, and it's just like literally bad marketing. But this event will have two parts, and maybe that's why this is considered a mini event. The first part is going to bring us from Chapter 6 to the Simpsons season, and then the end of the Simpsons season going into Chapter 7 is going to be the second part of this event. So there's one event to bring us into the Simpsons season and one event to bring us out of the Simpsons season. And maybe since it's like two parts of the same thing, Epic considers each one to be its own mini version of the event, and then together they're the whole thing. But either way, as I said, I think that's just not how the community kind of uses that terminology. But either way, that is going to be it for this video. As always, if you guys did find this to be helpful, informative, or interesting, remember to give it a like, subscribe if you'd like to see more, comment down below what you think. And as I said, the event is going to be happening Saturday, November 1st at 11 a.m. Eastern time. So if you care about the events, you're definitely going to want to be there. I'll see you guys in the next one. Thanks for watching.